Okay, here we are on this fine Saturday night slash Sunday morning, depending on how you look at it. And we are. Why am I here? Right. I am doing a review for Banshee Season 2. I got through that season real fucking quick. It was a good season though. The last time I did it, it took me a while because I was tired and I was not making any sense. I'm tired tonight. I'm not quite as tired. The melatonin hasn't quite hit me yet. We'll see if it does during the middle of this and I start talking nonsense again. Who knows? But I'm gonna try to keep it a little quicker. I don't want to go over stuff too much because we already introduced all the main cast from last season, but there were a few additions this season, though a lot of the additions did not seem permanent. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Probably should have already thought that out beforehand. Let's try to break it down for each character. So if you don't know how the first season ended, you can go back and watch the video I made about the first season. It's a little long and I ramble a lot and I don't make a whole lot of sense at some points, but I break down everything fairly well. So if you do remember that, then you know the season ended with Lucas Hood, his friends coming to save him from Rabbit and Carrie, aka Anastasia, saving him by shooting Rabbit, her own father. But it was pretty clear that Rabbit had survived. Well, in this season premiere, we find out that Rabbit has in fact survived. Somehow he got help. Somehow he managed to crawl away and get help in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Pennsylvania, and make it all the way back to New York. But it doesn't make any sense, but that's what happens. Meanwhile, the the sheriff's department of Banshee is placed under investigation for the events that happened because basically they just, despite being under the control of the FBI, they just ran off on their own with a group of civilians and just committed a raid against a criminal organization that was in their town. As such, pretty much all the deputies are punished to some degree. Siobhan and Emmett both get a slight probation, and Brock gets a slightly heavier probation because he was technically in charge at the time. And the investigation isn't conducted by the local DA. There's a new FBI guy in town instead of Agent Xavier. There's a new guy called Agent Racine, who's played by Zelchko Ivanek, which is a weird fucking name, some Eastern European name, who's maybe one of the creepiest looking actors there is. He always looks evil in everything he does. And he plays kind of an asshole FBI agent here. You think the way he's introduced, he dismisses Agent Xavier. He sends him away. Basically, his whole thing is that he's been about for years just catching Rabbit. And he sees this as an opportunity to do so. He knows that he's being lied to about what's going on. They don't tell him the whole truth. And it seems pretty clear that when he looks at a picture of Lucas Hood, he knows who he really is. But he doesn't say anything about that because he wants Rabbit, and he sees all these people as potential bait to get Rabbit to pop his head up so he can go after him. Which is exactly what they are to him. Agent Rashida actually goes to New York and visits this priest that's there. It turns out the priest is, I forget what his name is. Not his real name, his name in the show. It's some Eastern European thing that Rabbit calls him. But he's Rabbit's younger brother, and he's hiding him. He's also a criminal, and he's hiding Rabbit till he fully recovers. As a result of the investigation, like I said, all the deputies get placed on some sort of probation. Hood, who had essentially handed in his badge to the FBI and was basically acting as a civilian at the time, not to mention he was technically the victim of Rabbit's assault, doesn't get punished at all because technically he did nothing wrong. I mean, he just was taken hostage and he was a civilian. So Carrie pleads guilty to a weapons charge and has to spend 6 months in jail. No, I'm sorry, not 6 months in jail. She has to spend a month in jail, which is a part of the story they drag out for a while. Hood drives her to prison and tells her, just keep her head down, and he has to deal with her going into prison. He remembers his own going into prison days, and every little thing about emotion in the show is drawn out with such intensity. But he takes her to prison and basically tells her, this is a quiet time, just keep your head down and you'll be fine. Right away she gets harassed and she fucking loses it and just fucking beats the shit out of some chick who's fucking with her in prison. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Siobhan, who has a new place she's staying at because her house got burned down in the first season by a bunch of crazy bikers, her ex-husband shows up, and apparently he was an abusive drunk, and he tells her, he's like, listen, I'm not like that anymore, but he's like, I need you to remove a restraining order against me so I can move to town because there's a job that I can get. But then, right away, he's, way too pushy, and he just keeps showing up in her life, and it's like, dude, you're not even realizing the fucking problem. The problem with an abusive drunk isn't that you're a fucking drunk. That's not the problem. There are plenty of drunks who aren't abusive. There are plenty of drunks who just laugh at stupid shit and piss themselves and pass out. It's they're not that big of a fucking problem. The abusive part that's you. That's you being a fucking control freak who just wants to do whatever you want to do, and whenever anyone counters that in some way, your drunken fucking brain can't process it, so you fucking lash out in anger. The alcoholism just inhibits your control of yourself. But at the end of the day, it's still just you doing all that awful shit. And you see right away that this guy just keeps showing up in her life, trying to make, even though she keeps telling him she doesn't, she'll, remove the restraining order so he can get a job, but she doesn't want anything else to do with him. He's not catching the hint. It's nah, he's still an abusive asshole. And of course, sure enough, he is. And it ends up with Siobhan going to his hotel room one night and just beating the fucking shit out of him. And this is happening concurrently with Carrie beating the shit out of the chick in prison. And it's just both of these two women just dealing with years of repressed anger and just taking it out on somebody. And, deserving somebody. In Siobhan's case, someone very deserving because his abuse is the direct cause of her repressed anger. When she gets there, she beats the shit out of him, and Hood gets there and sees after she beats the shit out of him, he actually gives a smile when he sees the scene, as if he's kind of approving of it. And, he basically tells her to go and that he'll cover up the scene for her. He'll cover up the crime for her, which he does. You kind of got the hint in season 1 that these two are going to fuck. They fuck in this season. But not right away. It still takes a little while for them to actually fuck. But after she beats the shit out of her ex-husband, you see her loosen up a little bit more, and she and Hood get closer until they eventually start fucking. Another thing that happens in the season premiere is there was, in the season 1, they were planning Hood, Sugar and Job were planning this heist on one of the armored car money shipments from the local Native American casino run by the Long Shadows, and they finally pull off that heist. At first you think it's like a flashback that you're seeing because Carrie's there for some reason, and you're just like, oh, this must be a flashback to their days as criminals. No, it's something that's happening in the now. They pull off the armored car heist, but then somebody attacks them on the road, and they only get away with like one of the fucking bags of cash. They only steal like a little over $100,000, and between the fucking four of them, they only each get a little bit of a split. It turns out the person who attacked them was Nola, and she was guarding the truck for her brother, but it still looks bad that the truck was hit, and Alex doesn't look like a good leader, and there's a tribal council that basically starts questioning his ability to lead them, to the point where one of the guys on the council basically challenges his position as chief. A guy named, what the fuck is his name? A guy named George Hunter. He challenges Alex's position as leader of the tribe. Alex does not look good at all this season. He basically seems like a posturing idiot who doesn't deserve his title and gets kicked around by fucking everybody. Now, at first you think that maybe Nola knows who stole the money, because right after stealing the money, she shows up at the bar. She shows up at Sugar's bar and just fucks Hood with like the littlest of no effort. She just sits down next to him, asks where he lives, and then when he tells her he lives like right next door to the bar, she says, oh good, then it will be easy for us to get there. And then they just go and fuck, which I totally understand. Nola is smoking hot. You would fuck her with little to no prompting whatsoever. Of course consensually. I'm just saying it wouldn't take a lot of effort for her to convince you. She'd just be like, hey, you want to go? And you'd be like, yeah, sure. So Hood fucks Nola. It's just a one-night thing between them. Nola and Alex are convinced that it was Proctor who robbed them, but it wasn't, so Proctor's utterly confused by the accusation. But Nola shows how far she's willing to go, because one night she kidnaps Rebecca and they hold her hostage. Now remember from season 1, Kai Proctor helped Hood when Rabbit was coming after him, so now he owes Rabbit a favor. So he decides Rabbit calls in that favor by basically telling him, you have to go save my niece. And so he does. He goes, he breaks into the casino, he beats up a lot of the guards, he makes it to Nola and Alex, and he realizes that's who Nola is. Nola disarms him, but Alex basically just says enough of this shit, and he lets Rebecca go with Hood, who brings Rebecca back to Proctor, and then it's just like, okay, we're even. And it's that moment where you realize that, like, Alex isn't sure what to do about this situation. He's not sure if, Proctor is really it really stole his money or not, or what's going on, but it all looks bad for him. And it affects his position in the tribe, to the point where he actually ends up going to Proctor for help and forming a new business relationship with him, and it just seems kind of weird, the whole thing. But Proctor basically fixes the tribal election for him. He threatens the tribal council members and basically makes it so that, George can't take Alex's position. Alex hates that he has to work with Proctor, but he does it begrudgingly. And he also ends up dismissing his sister because she's a problem. He asks her to leave town, which she does, but she's not happy about it. She cares for her brother, but she's also a fucking lunatic. That isn't the only issue with the Native Americans. I think they're the Kinoha tribe or something like that. There's an episode where it turns out Rebecca's younger brother, Kai's nephew, he's having a secret relationship with a local Native American girl, a local Native girl, and they're thinking that maybe they'll run away together. They seem like, just young little teenage lovers, until one day the girl is found murdered on Amish land, and the boy is nowhere to be found. So nobody knows what to make of the situation. The local tribe is convinced that the boy must have murdered the girl, and it has all these people coming out of the woodwork, and creates this tension between the native tribe and the Amish. Apparently there's a native gang called the Redbones. They're led, oh Christ, that are led by god damn it, was led by a really gigantic motherfucker. I think his name's Chayton? Where is he? Come on, you son of a bitch. Where are you? I apologize for this. This is fucking terrible. Oh, Christ almighty. Yeah, there is. Chayton. And, things come to a head for them because they're very protective of the members of their tribe. And, of course, the local tribal leadership doesn't like them. But apparently Chayton's younger brother used to date the girl who was killed, and he threatened her at one point, so the sheriff's department wants to talk to him. The problem is they have no authority on the reservation, but that doesn't stop Hood, so they just go anyways, and they end up confronting the Redbone gang, which leads to a fight, especially between Hood and Chayton. Chayton's just this big, mean, crazy motherfucker who almost kills Hood. But they managed to arrest him after really, really having to try hard and ganging up on him. And they arrest most of his people, and they talk to his brother. But the problem is his brother's a minor, and so Alex Longshadow steps in and is like really pissed about the whole thing. And they have really no proof that he committed the murder. But they keep Chayton because I guess Chayton has warrants in other counties, so they're going to transfer him away. But Alex doesn't care about that. He's glad to see him go. But, But of course Rebecca gets involved in the situation because her brother is missing, and of course Kai gets involved in the situation because it's his family too. And he's on the Amish land at one point when the rest of the Redbone gang shows up and tries to attack the Amish, and Kai just beats the fuck out of them. He beats the fuck out of a couple of them with a baseball bat. And meanwhile, while this is going on, there was at one point a sort of back and forth between him and Alex Longshadow, fucking with each other. They also ended up burying the mayor too and making shit. They end up making Gordon, Carrie's husband, the new inter-mayor, and they get a new ADA, or they get a new assistant district attorney. I'll get to Gordon in a minute. They eventually find out who killed the girl. It's some crazy Amish teacher who's very strict and abusive. He killed the native girl and kidnapped the Amish boy to try to teach him better, but they end up Proctor ends up, like, Hood beats the shit out of the guy, but he can't get him to talk, so Proctor ends up torturing him until he does talk. And they solve the murder, who killed the girl, they find the boy. And before she leaves town, Nola kills the Amish guy who killed the girl, because she's just like, fuck it. She literally goes him while he's in his prison cell. At which point you're like, how is no one in this prison with the prisoner? It's like, shouldn't there be at least one cop on duty at all times? You would think. And she, like, hits him in the head with a fucking tomahawk. It's like, alright, it's a little on the nose, but whatever. There was a back and forth between Alex Longshadow and Proctor before they made peace, because Alex Longshadow was desperate. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I said I was going to cover Gordon. Carrie's life just falls apart. She goes to prison. Her family has completely fucking rejected her. Her son, not so much, but Dava and Gordon, they want nothing to do with her. They don't even take her calls. They don't visit her while she's in prison. But none of them are doing well. Dava is acting out by, like, shoplifting. And then when they get caught, she tries to the security guard who catches her with, like, saying that if he doesn't let her go, she'll claim that he molested her. And Gordon's not really doing any better. He's spending most of his time at a fucking strip club, getting drunk and getting his dick sucked in a parking lot. I'm not even joking about that. He's just abandoning his children at home. He's not even buying, like, groceries and shit or taking care of anything. Let's see. What else happened? Okay, so the Native American thing. The big thing about that was it introduced Chayton, and it gave this sort of adversarial relationship between Hood and Chayton. When Chayton tried to get transported, when they try to transport Chayton to where he's supposed to go to be arrested, he manages to break out, and his gang comes and gets him. And he doesn't kill Emmett or Siobhan, even though he has an opportunity to do so. And he basically tells Siobhan, like, tell your sheriff I'll be seeing him soon, and he just leaves with his gang. And that's the last we see of him for most of the season. But he comes back, you'll see. So that just brings up a new dangerous enemy. If you remember in season 1, I said that the real Lucas Hood had a son. His son's name is Jason. We know this because he shows the fuck up. And he confronts Hood, kinda. But it doesn't seem very confrontational. So which Hood wonders, like, what do you want? He's like, you could literally blow up my whole spot here, but you're not. So I have to wonder, what is it that you want? Apparently Jason was not very tight with his father. And when he sees this guy posing as him, he must realize this guy has the ability to just create a new identity for himself. And that's what Jason wants. apparently he got into some trouble with some people and he needs a new identity. So Hood decides, well, if it'll make this kid go away without him fucking up my shit, then yeah, I'll do that for him. So he has Joe craft this kid a new identity. The problem is the kid's a fucking idiot. He's getting drunk all the time. He's getting drunk. He fucks Rebecca at one point, not even realizing who she is. But Hood decides to help him, I guess through some sort of sense of guilt that he wasn't able to help his father, maybe. The problem is, the reason he's on the run in the first place is because he was he was basically a guy who delivered drugs for major drug dealers, but then he delivered drugs and money, but then on one job he saw something he wasn't supposed to, and he just ended up running off with a bunch of their money. And this drug cartel or organization or whatever they are, they sent this English guy named Quentin to go get their money and Jason back. When they confront Jason in the bar, Sugar shoots a guy who's with Quentin, and Quentin runs off. But he shows up to confront Hood later, because he looks up Hood and he realizes that, oh, this must be Jason's father. So they come to an agreement where Hood agrees to give him a bunch of money, and he's just like, alright, but you gotta go and you gotta leave the kid behind. Quentin doesn't leave the kid behind. This leads to Hood and Quentin having this big just fist fight in the middle of a busy highway at night, where there's just a bunch of trucks coming. And that leads to Hood decapitating Quentin with a Mack truck. You have to see it to see how that happens, but it happens. He then tells Jason, he's like, I have your new identity. Here's the money you stole from the drug dealers. I suggest you go to Canada and just keep the lowest of low profiles. The problem is, on his last night, Jason goes to get a drink, sees Rebecca again, decides to hit on her, and she takes him back to his hotel room so she can sleep with him. At which point, the fuck's his name? Blah, blah, blah. Clay Garrott wires Jason, kills him, and basically, I don't know why Proctor had that done, why Proctor had Clay do that, but he did, because Proctor's there, and he basically tells Rebecca, like, if you're with me, you're with me. I don't know what their relationship just gets increasingly weirder as the season goes on, because you have to keep reminding yourself, oh, he's her uncle. Anyways, she kills the guy. Kai kills Jason while he's fucking Rebecca, and they have Clay clean up the scene. And he does a good job of cleaning up the scene. The problem is he leaves behind two things. Jason dropped his father's watch that our fake Hood gave him, saying like, oh, this is your father's watch, so I just figured, I don't know why I kept it, I guess, but I figured you should have it. And he also finds that Jason left the money that he stole behind. He hid it in the toilet tank. And Hood, of course, thinks that's suspicious. There's no way he would leave without that money. And he finds out that Rebecca was the last person seen with Jason. So he goes to Proctor's place to ask about it, and they tell him no. He goes to Proctor's place to ask about it, and Rebecca and Proctor both say they don't know anything about the situation, but, he knows better. Hood knows better. Ugh. Okay, so yeah, they kill Jason. Hood knows that Kai's lying about it, so he decides, for some reason, he gets very defensive of this fucking dumbass kid, Jason, but he does, and he decides to go after Proctor. Um, I'm not sure how. Well, he basically asks Brock, he's like, how would you do it if you could? And Brock gives him some just pointers on how to act in general. They get an informant who's one of Proctor's strippers. Okay, so let me start again with that. Hood knows Proctor is lying about killing his nephew, or killing his the identity his fake son. Let's just say. Um, so he decides to start fucking with Proctor. First thing he does is he raids his strip club because he knows some of the girls are prostituting themselves. That's where he runs into Gordon, and him and Gordon have a little bit of a fight, and he, beats the fuck out of Gordon a little bit. Gordon gets the shit kicked out of him a lot during this season, but whatever. Um, but yeah. Hood starts fucking with Proctor. He busts his nightclub. He ends up blowing up his Kai's meth lab. He has this giant meth lab that Hood blows up with the help of Sugar and Job. But yeah. Shit, I keep forgetting what I was talking about every time I almost pass out. Hood. Oh, shit, this is almost going too long again. Yeah, so Hood and Proctor get really fucked up with each other. Hood gets a little bit of information from a stripper that Proctor is fucking, that, he moved crates into his basement. So Hood breaks into his house one night, and he finds that in his basement, Proctor's got like this little private room where he like stores guns and shit. So Hood fakes information to get a search warrant, which Siobhan knows exactly what he's doing. By this point, they're already sleeping together. Like I said, the two of them would. And so yeah, they raid Proctor's basement, and they get a lot of guns, and they manage to arrest Proctor. In part of trying to get information on Proctor, they found out about the meth lab from this white supremacist guy. I think his name is Sharp. Yes, Sharp. And they have a confrontation with Sharp and his fellow white supremacist idiots. Emmett especially gets, pissed at these guys, which is understandable as a black man. And wait, who is I talking about? Oh yeah, Emmett has a thing with these white supremacist guys, and one day they see Emmett's wife walking down the street. I think, what is his wife's name? No, that ain't her. What is her name? You know what? It doesn't fucking matter. Sharp and his gang of fucking idiots decide to go after Emmett's wife, and Sharp smacks her in the face, and one of his idiot friends kicks her in the stomach. And you're just like, why did you fucking do that, you idiots? And, okay. And, oh, shit. I'm forgetting something. No. And, shit. Shit. What was I talking about? Confrontation between Hood and Proctor continues even when Proctor is in jail. Hood realizes that there's some sort of business deal going on between the Kanoa tribe and Proctor. And Proctor goes to Alex Longshadow about it and is like, hey, if you could give me some other information. And Alex Longshadow decides to turn on Proctor, which Proctor doesn't like. While he's in jail, Proctor gets visited by his mother, who seems to be somewhat repentant that her son was shunned. And it's like, so there's that. That's not even yeah, Proctor's kind of pissed about all that. So he's in jail, and at that point, that's when Rebecca starts stepping up a little bit more, because you're like wondering, like, what is she gonna do? Because she sees a lot of things, but she doesn't say a lot about a lot of things. And she actually sees Hood break into her uncle's basement, which he ends up using as the basis to create his fake search warrant, and she also says nothing. So I don't know. Yeah, so Proctor's fighting a fight on all fronts. Rebecca starts stepping up as a criminal more. Oh yeah, the season comes to a conclusion because they started looking to try to fence the diamonds that they, Hood originally went to prison for. It turns out they were all fake. They were all made of glass. So Hood realizes he gave 15 years of his life for bullshit. And, so they don't have anything from the diamonds. Job and Carrie actually pull off a heist at one point because Carrie's son, he's getting sicker and sicker, so he needs an operation to fucking fix his asthma problems. So she basically she has Job help her pull a job so she can get some money. And Oh yeah, shit. So he finds out the diamonds are fake, and then Job. Oh yeah. I completely forgot. At one point, when Carrie gets out of prison, uh, Hood goes and picks her up, and then shows her this house that he was kind of imagining that the two of them could go live in someday and be a happy couple again in peace. It's just a nice little fantasy. While they're there, Agent Racine shows up finally, and he reveals that he knows who Hood really is because he was there the night he got caught, where he ended up going to jail for 15 years, and he just realizes that he knows who Hood really is, but he doesn't want to give him up. He wants to keep him around, so. Ugh. Wait, what? What was it talking about? Oh yeah, he wanted to keep Hood around as bait. So he decides to ask Hood and Carrie for help. And while he's there, he gets shot in the back of the head. Hood and Carrie go out and confront their assassin who was trying to kill them too. But she gets killed pretty easily. And Racine is dead, so that was almost kind of completely pointless that he had any part in this. But, oh, shit. Fuck. Okay. Joe finds out where Rabbit is, goes to confront him in the church, tries to try to kill him, but he never even gets close to him and almost gets killed himself as he's trying to escape. He gets hit by a car. But we do see that Joe was really good at taking care of himself. He's actually pretty badass in a fight. Oh shit, I completely forgot what I was talking about. The white supremacists and Sharp, they had a thing with Emmett. Emmett beat the fuck out of a few of them. They didn't like that, so they attacked Emmett's wife to the point where she miscarries and loses the child that she's pregnant with. Emmett gets really fucking pissed about that. Despite trying to be a good man and a good Christian and everything, he takes out some of the weapons they confiscated in a lockup, and he beats the shit out of the white supremacist guys, especially Sharp, to the point where it seems like he might have killed Sharp. They're never really clear on that. At this point, Emmett quits being a cop. Hood tries to get him to stay, saying it's like, hey, you did what anyone would have done in that situation, and Emmett just doesn't support it, so it's like, alright. So yeah, there's now this enmity between Emmett and the fucking white supremacist guys. They show up later. Job almost got killed trying to get at Rabbit. He calls Lucas. Lucas decides to go to New York to help Job. He gets Carrie to come with him, which leads to another confrontation between Gordon and fucking Hood, because Carrie was starting to get back in with her family because they were all fucked up too. Gordon gets his shit together a little bit, but during the confrontation, Carrie reveals that Hood is in fact Dava's father, which causes Gordon to back off. Carrie and Hood go to New York. They check up on on Job, they meet some old gangster friend of on a Kusha. Ugh. Um. Yeah, so they go to New York. They make sure that they uh, stop another attempt on Job's life, which of course warrants the attention of the police. And one of the cops who shows up, who was also taking over Racine's place of going at the at Rabbit and his family, was a local cop who was the same cop who busted Hood 15 years ago. So he'll definitely know who he is. Um. Ah, shit. Um, Hood has to get guns from some old gangster. I think his name was Fat something. Um, who he isn't sure will help him or not, but he does help him. He seems to be a big fan. And he sells Hood and Carrie some guns. They go into the church to try to get at Rabbit. They kill quite a few guys to the point where, but they run out of ammo. It gets so bad that Hood basically realizes he's like, I'm gonna have to, you know, torture myself. So, wait, what am I saying? No, they make it. They make it past most of the guards, but then they get cornered at one point. At which point, Hood is going to sacrifice himself again so Carrie can get away. But that's when that gangster who sold them guns shows up. Apparently, Job went to him and convinced him to go help them, help Carrie and Hood. They even kill Rabbit's brother, his priest brother, and then Carrie and Hood confront Rabbit. And in this last episode, you also see that there's a bit of a background on what happened, what led to the events where Hood was arrested, and the whole betrayal and breakdown. You see that once upon a time they were kind of like a happy little gang of thieves, but it all turned so bad so quickly. But yeah, they confront Rabbit, and Rabbit ends up shooting himself right in front of Hood, and it's like, so that's the end of that. Hood brings Carrie home, which it seems like she's about to be accepted by her family because she started like answering questions to like Deva and everything, like saying, "Yeah, I'll tell you anything you want to know." There's a bunch of little things. You see that. What do you see? What do you see? A few things. You see that Chayton finds. Oh yeah, Rebecca. As she started to get more into the criminal enterprise, she realized that Alex Longshadow betrayed her. I think I mentioned that Proctor was getting visits from his own mother, who realized she wanted to see her son and everything. And but whatever. Rebecca decides to seduce Alex Longshadow, and then while they're fucking, she tries to kill him, and he fights back, but then she ends up stabbing him in the neck with his own knife. But that doesn't stop him at first, and then she shoots him like 3 times. And it's like, well, he's not going to be going against Proctor anytime soon. That's basically his punishment for betraying Proctor. And, it's like, yeah, that's not gonna. And Proctor eventually gets out of prison. Rebecca reveals that she killed Alex Longshadow for him. and then the two of them fuck. He's her uncle, but they fuck. Like I said, their whole relationship got really weird this season. As a result of that, Chayton finds out that Alex Longshadow is dead and decides he's going to go home, which means he's going to be a problem for the sheriff's department again. And, the tribe is going to be looking for new leadership, so they won't be able to deal with Chayton and his big gang of assholes. Also, you find out that, the white supremacist guys are the ones who are left. They kill Emmett and his wife. Emmett quit being a cop, and it looked like they left Banshee. So it was like they were just written out of the show. You thought, okay, that's the end of them, but it's like, no, they decided to kill them off too. Like, he just guns them down in a drive-by shooting. And so it's like it seemed like this season was going to end on a positive note, but no. Proctor's out of jail, Emmett and his wife were murdered, and they got a big, gigantic, mean, angry Native American dude coming to town who's going to cause all sorts of fucking chaos. And that's basically how the season ends. Despite my haphazard, awful retelling of it, it actually was a really good season. And it was definitely a pickup from the last one. The only thing I worry about is that Rabbit was such a main crux of the storyline that now that he's gone, that I worry if they're going to have anything to pick it up that's going to be quite as good. Like, Chayton could be a good villain, but I don't think he's going to be the main villain of the show. Proctor could be, but God only knows what's going on with him. Sometimes he's just a straight-up enemy. Sometimes he can be helpful, so who knows. But, the show only lasts 4 seasons, so something must take a bad turn. I'm thinking it has to do with that once Rabbit's gone, any real danger seems like it's gone, but God only knows. But yeah, I need to get some sleep, and I think that's the end of it. Oh, Jesus, I've been at this for almost an hour. Holy fuck, yeah, I need to wrap it up. Yeah, that was season 2 of fucking Banshee. I'll try to fucking make these quicker next time, but yeah, 2 thumbs up for this season. Looking forward to the next one. To be honest, I actually started the season premiere a little bit. It looked pretty good. So, yeah, and it looks like we're jumping right into things with it. But that's for the next review. So, have a good night, folks. Get some sleep. Lord knows I'm going to.